Hello, Sofia here, your certified holistic aromatherapist. And remember to like and subscribe. But today I'm going to talk a little bit about Helichrysum essential oil. And if you haven't tried Helichrysum essential oil, it is one of the most marvelous oils that you can have. I highly recommend keeping it in your first aid kit along with all of your other first aid gear. I'm gonna just put on my glasses here. So Helichrysum essential oil, ooh, maybe it's too bright, is fondly referred to as liquid stitches because it is wonderful at healing many things. So I love using it if I have a wound, a cut, or a bruise, or anything like that. It's very gentle and can be used neat, although like I like to talk about in many of my videos, I recommend diluting when you're using on your skin because it allows the skin more time to absorb the oil. If you just put it on neat, it will evaporate more quickly. So you can get it, the brand I use, you can get it already pre-diluted. And what I do is I just roll it on if I have like a little cut or a paper cut or even a larger cut or a bruise, and I put it on that to just help speed up the healing process. And trust me, it really speeds up the healing process quite well. So Helichrysum comes from a tiny little flower, and it is rather time-consuming, labor-intensive, and to create the essential oil. It is often adulterated with a cheaper, less expensive oil, and like I say in many of my videos, over 90% of essential oils on the market internationally, worldwide, are adulterated or contaminated. And adulterated can mean essentially another substance added to stretch the essential oil. And this could be a benign, just a filler like such as coconut oil or some other oil that is not necessarily bad for you. But if you don't know what's in it and you don't know the quality of it, it could also be a chemical, especially for more expensive oils that are more expensive to produce. They are much more likely to be adulterated than an oil that is less expensive to produce. So keep that in mind. Helichrysum is definitely much more labor intensive and harder to get an essential oil out of a tiny little flower. Keep that in mind. And to make sure that you have a pure essential oil, you want to make sure that the company that you're buying from is transparent about how they source the oil and how it's distilled and how it's actually brought and processed, right? And to do that, you should be able to see all test results for every single batch. There should be a batch number on the bottom that can sometimes wipe off easily, and you should be able to plug in that batch number and find third-party test results to quantify that it is actually pure. This is really for your health and your safety. I don't want anybody, using something that's been adulterated with some kind of like weird chemical in it, or another essential oil or another plant that might not have the properties that you need for what you're doing, right? Okay, so Helichrysum, what can it do? Emotionally, what oils do for us physically often do this very similar thing to us emotionally. So emotionally, it helps us to heal. So when we're feeling emotionally wounded, it helps to mend, for example, mend the heart when you're feeling heartbroken. I do recommend using a cleansing oil first, such as what you would do with a cut. You wouldn't necessarily, what you do emotionally, you're not necessarily you're doing the same thing physically as you do emotionally. So If you've got a cut, you're gonna likely cleanse that cut first. I like to use something like tea tree essential oil or maybe a lemon, depending. Normally for a cut, I like to use tea tree. You can do the same for those emotional things. So use an oil like tea tree or lemongrass, another cleansing oil, citronella, to help to release maybe those types of negative emotions or emotions that make you feel heavy, to help to release those emotions. And then you put on an oil that is more healing, such as Helichrysum. Does that make sense? You don't want to necessarily put Helichrysum right on the cut. You could, and it could help, but it's a really great idea to clean it out first. Wash it out, rinse it out, just like we do emotionally. We do the same thing physically. Just think about that. Okay, so if somebody has gone through trauma, they may have somebody who's felt victimized, betrayed, hurt. This is an excellent essential oil to use. I like to combine this one, especially if it's something emotional that you're trying to process, using it with an essential oil like cardamom. Cardamom helps us to digest and assimilate and understand what is going on. And if we're feeling victimized or hurt or betrayed, heartbroken, using an essential oil, this is the liquid stitches oil, so to help mend the heart, but to help us to kind of understand and see the bigger picture, I would use something like tea tree to help clean out and help to release some of the negativity that you might be holding on to. And then oils like black spruce to help us see the bigger picture. And then cardamom to help us process those emotions as we see the bigger picture. Maybe have compassion for what's going on if it involves somebody else. And then Helichrysum to help heal the heart. So those 4 oils work together to help you full cycle heal, rather than just focusing on one essential oil to heal you. I highly recommend using oils in pairs to help heal a process, right? And if anybody here would like a consultation with me, feel free to contact me. So Helichrysum, healing, re-energizing. More things that it's physically great for is wrinkles and stretch marks, nosebleeds, any kind of bleeding. It helps to the healing process go faster. So if somebody has a nosebleed, I've often just said, rub the diluted Helichrysum right on the side of the nose there, and just to help the blood clot faster. Scars and wounds, again, to help soften that scar and wound and help it to heal faster. If it's wrinkles and scars and wounds and things like that, then I would actually combine Helichrysum and frankincense essential oil, because that actually helps you heal the skin. You might even add an oil like rose, which rose helps to constrict and tighten the skin in that area, if that is neat. Soften and tighten and help cellular repair. With shock from pain or nerve damage, this is again an amazing essential oil. Helichrysum is wonderful for that, and again I would combine it with frankincense essential oil specifically for nerve pain, or you could use copaiba as well. Earaches, pains and things like that, you could use Helichrysum for that, especially if you've hurt your ear or if you've cut yourself anywhere or bruising, anything like that. Using Helichrysum and frankincense are excellent, especially topically. Helichrysum blends really well with many essential oils. Some of the ones that I like using it with, like I said, was Helichrysum, the black spruce, cardamom, and maybe rose, especially when you're trying to heal the heart from a wound. That would be emotionally. And if you're trying to deal with something that is longer lasting, so not just a little cut on your finger, something like that where using Helichrysum right on that cut after you've cleansed it for maybe a week or less, depending on the size of the cut, is going to heal it a lot faster. You won't need it as long as you would for something emotional that you're trying to process. So if you're trying to process something emotional, then I would mix it in a roller bottle. Again, you can contact me if you'd like some specific support with creating a blend for yourself. And you would use it for maybe a month or 2-month period of time, depending on how severe the emotional cut is. I love using Helichrysum in a lot of my facial oils. So I will use yarrow with pomegranate seed, Helichrysum, and some other oils added to it to just boost and rejuvenate my skin and the quality of the luminosity of my skin, and I find that really helps. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, remember to like and subscribe, please, and I will see you next time.